Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a rate and lower your monthly payments. Go to trustedamerican.com to see how much they can save you today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, my dudes. Oh, my head is a little bit in the Guerilla Sports Daily. Hold on. Whoop. Look at that. I'm back. It's been a little while because last week I was in California celebrating Thanksgiving with my in-laws. It was a great time, but it's good to be back here in Denver, especially this week because, wow, what a week we've had so far. A Broncos win, now a Nuggets win, and an Avalanche win, and especially that Avalanche win was crazy last night. Let's see if my microphone is still working. Yeah, there's a lot of Denver sports I want to talk about. There's a little bit besides that, but it's mostly going to be Colorado sports because there's so much to talk about. A little bit about the Nuggets who came back, a little bit about the Avs who came back even more, even stronger. A little bit about the Broncos because there's some changes in their team, and a little bit about the Colorado Rapids. Even though they're not playing, there's some news there with the head coach. And I want to take a quick tour to Miami after that because Inter Miami also has head coach news. And it's an interesting story. Once again from Miami, I feel like the stories never end at that club, and for good reason. But let's get into it right now. Let's start with the Denver Nuggets. This was a fun game yesterday. They played against the Golden State Warriors. Exciting until the last second. Christian Braun snagging that ball. If you saw the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you didn't see it, it was really close. Christian Braun snagged that ball in the last second, held onto it on the floor, ran down the clock, and that's how the Nuggets got the win. 119 to 115. Was it a good game? At times. They were down 11 points at some point. I was a little bit worried about them, but they got it done. In a season where they're struggling, a season where a lot of things are not going their way, yesterday was different. Yesterday was better than most games. This was an NBA Cup game. And I don't understand the NBA Cup. And I don't think I'm alone. I don't think I'm too European to understand the NBA Cup. I think this is a universal thing in this country because they won their fourth group stage game. So 4 games, they won 2 games, lost 2 games. They're out of the NBA Cup now. And after the game, everyone was talking about it as if it was a regular game. Yeah, good win, on to the next one. And I texted the group like, why do people care so much? They're still out of the NBA Cup. Apparently, they still get points in the regular season. So what is this NBA Cup if it also works for the regular season? If you get points for your regular NBA, what is this cup thing? And why do you play some games in the cup, then some games outside of the cup, and then go back into the cup? I don't understand. And I need someone to explain it to me. But I don't think anyone else can either. I heard the TNT commentators yesterday say during the game, the players take the NBA Cup very seriously now. It's a great job by Adam Silver. Well, of course they take it seriously. They're pros. And if it works for the regular season, of course they're going to take it seriously like any other game. If this is important for the rest of your season, of course you're going to want to win. That doesn't change anything. The fact that it's a cup game literally means nothing if the points also go to the regular season. I'm going to be a little more critical this Wednesday. I'll try to be positive, but I do not understand this NBA Cup idea. If you want to do it like Dutch soccer. I'm going to talk about soccer again. In the Netherlands, we have the regular league, which is called the Eredivisie, and we have the Cup, which is a tournament style, which is a tournament. any Dutch team can compete in that tournament. It's starting with the amateurs. Eventually, the pros are seeded into it as well. Because of that, you can have amateurs playing pro teams and sometimes upsetting them. I think the farthest an amateur team has gotten was, hey, Ruben, the farthest an amateur team has gotten was the semifinals, I believe. That is amazing. That is a story you want to talk about. That is a story you want to watch the game for. Imagine having college teams playing NBA teams in the NBA Cup. Make it bigger, make it exciting, make it different from the regular NBA, especially when those NBA Cup games right now are important for the regular season. Then what is this NBA Cup? You get a banner? Well, the Lakers hung it up last year. They're laughed at for doing that because what kind of a prize is that? I do not understand. I will not understand. And I think the idea is good, but the execution is so bad that they need to change this really, really quickly. But going back to yesterday's game, this was a good game. The Warriors are a good team. Steph Curry is amazing. We all know that. And the Nuggets have been struggling. They were 30th in defense in the last 5 games. That tells you a lot about how they've been playing their games. Yesterday was better. And Coach Michael Malone sets things along that same line.
I mean, all day long I've been talking to my team, talking to you guys pregame, after the game, about our defense. And, when you're ranked 30th in the last 5 games, there's nowhere to go but up. And I felt our guys were locked in a lot more tonight than we were. But to have that kind of a close, that means you're getting stops on the other end. And when you get stops like that, now you can get out and run and attack a defense that's not set. And like I said, just because you're not shooting the ball well, you can still do other things to help your team win. And the plays that Jamal made, that Russ made, that CB, that loose ball that he came up with, those are winning plays at the end of a close game that is hanging in the balance. So I'm proud of our guys for making all those winning plays down the stretch.
There's a reason why he mentioned Jamal Murray, because he's been bad the last few games. He hasn't performed like a top salaried guy, a top contract guy. Yesterday, I don't think was too different. Yes, he was better in defense, but everyone was better in defense. He still only scored a handful of points. Is that enough for a guy like Jamal Murray who's getting paid so much money to do what he's doing? No, I don't think so. I think it was the bench again who showed out. It kind of looks like this team is rebuilding without knowing it. They lost a lot of key players, Bruce Brown, KCP, and now they got to deal with Julian Strother, Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, Hunter Tyson, who I think that didn't even play yesterday, but most of those young guys are doing really, really well. And I think these guys are the future of the Nuggets, or at least they're going to come in very handy when I want to trade for something else. Yeah, great stuff by the young guys. Once again, Jamal Murray, in my opinion, once again, didn't do enough. Defensively, maybe, but we expect more of him. But great win. Got to stay positive because there's a lot of negative stuff that I'm going to talk about. Got to stay positive. Good win. Great win. Fun to watch. Nikola Jokic was amazing again. Aaron Gordon was good. MPJ was great. Murray played. Let's move on to the Colorado Avalanche, because what a game was that. I tuned in the second period. They were down 4-0 in the first period. An amazing comeback because they win 5-4. They got 5 behind the Sabres goalie, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Amazing. In the first half, the Sabres scored 4 times. Alexander Georgiev, the goalie that's been talked about a lot, gets pulled, and the new guy, Scott Wedgwood, comes in. On the other side, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen had a save percentage of above 900. You felt like that game was over. After the first 2 goals, Georgiev was erratic already, throwing his stick, being very angry at everything, probably also himself, and for good reasons. But there were two more. First period ends in 4-0. Game looks to be over. And in the second period, things are starting to change because in net, there's more. It's more peaceful, more quiet, and you can depend on that guy more. Scott Wedgwood, first game for the Avs, definitely not the way he probably wanted to play his first game. Definitely not the way the Avs wanted to bring him in, but it was necessary, and he did good because Georgiev choked once again. Like I said, on the other side, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen did great in the first period, and then let 1 through, and 2, and 3, and it just kept going until I think it was 4 minutes before the end of the game. They scored a 5-4. Amazing. I don't know how they did it, but they came back. But it is obvious the Avs have a goalie problem. If you remember earlier this season, Georgiev played the first few games, was so bad that they brought in Annunen. Then Annunen didn't do too well. They brought this guy in from the Winnipeg Jets who was on waivers. Couldn't play right away because of his conditioning. Needed to work on his conditioning. Finally was good enough to play. Played 1 game. Was put on waivers again and was re-signed by the Winnipeg Jets. Talk about a whirlwind of a season or career. Then this week they trade Justus Annunen, who was still loved by the people of Colorado because they knew that he wasn't the problem. He gets traded for Scott Wedgwood, a 32-year-old veteran goalie who has played as a backup goalie his whole life, who is still a backup goalie, but behind this guy who keeps making mistake after mistake. He got the chance. Like I said, on the other side, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I just love that name. I keep saying Ukko. The only reason I'm saying his name is because I love Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I think it's the best name in NHL history. I like that name. I like the Avs winning, so it was good that Georgiev was was taken out. Scott Wedgwood got the big hat because he was the player of the game, and rightfully so. He had a save percentage of 1,000. That means no mistakes. He held everything. Great game by him. I'm not sure if Georgiev's season is over, but maybe it should be. Moving on to a team whose season is definitely over. The CU Buffs, or at least the regular season is over because they're still going to play a bowl game. They have a 93 record. 2 years ago, they had an 11-1 record. A 1-11 record. Talk about a quick turnaround. All made possible by Deion Sanders with Shedeur and Travis, who I'll talk about a little bit more later. I want to talk a little bit first about college sports and bowl games. Being from the Netherlands, I had a lot to learn about American sports. Drafts, football rules, the difference in fan experience. I'm caught up now. I know what I'm talking about. There's still one thing I do not understand: bowl games. How do they decide who gets to play a bowl game? And who is they? Who gets to decide who gets to play a bowl game? It's not based off of rankings because there is no central ranking in the country for college football. Oh, wait, there is, but that is also made up. And if a bowl game isn't for anything, if it's not a championship game, then why do you play it? And I get that there's a lot of prestige to bowl games in general, but if you're invited to play, what is that prestige exactly? So the Buffs get to play a bowl game. Deion Sanders has been wanting to get to a bowl game for Miss Peggy, the 100-year-old, biggest CU Buffs fan ever. I love for her that they get to play a bowl game, but who should play in that game? Shedeur and Travis Hunter? I don't know if that's a good idea, because if the game isn't for anything, then why do you, as a player, why would you risk playing in that game, risk getting injured, risk whatever could happen in that game for your NFL career? That is right around the corner. You're about to get drafted. what if you get injured in a game that's not important for anything? We have a podcast here on Guerilla Sports, We're the Harrises, with Chris Harris Jr., Shelby Harris, and Ryan Harris, and they talked about that same thing. They played in college, they played in the NFL, so they know a lot more than me. Listen to what they have to say.
The thing for fans to do is to celebrate the player that chooses not to play, because that's the best decision for them and their family. Look, they were loyal to you for years coming to that university, and to the point that Shelby and Chris made, coaches, not only do they leave, they take coaches with them sometimes. I mean, I called Notre Dame's bowl game last year, and they were playing, I believe it was Oregon State. Not only did their coach leave, they had like 20 starters that didn't play, and they had 5 other coaches that left too. So you want a player to come in and risk all that? Like, if you're Travis Hunter right now, CU is not playing in the college football playoffs. There's no benefit for him to play an XYZ bowl game other than that bowl game. If he plays in a bowl game, he's benefiting that bowl. He's benefiting whatever network who's not paying him is making on that bowl game. Why does he have to go do that? Nobody would risk their children's livelihood for some other corporation when you're literally hours away from the biggest payday in many cases, family history.
Well, Ryan, you got to think of it like this. Everyone used to play in bowl games because you used to get the gifts. Well, they don't need these gifts anymore. They get
$350 was our limit. Yeah,
we used to be happy. Oh man, we're getting a PS5 or a TV or a gift. You know,
these gifts. That's how they used to lure you to these games. It's like, oh, we're gonna give you all this swag. We're gonna give you all these gifts, and that was the best part of the bowl game was getting all this stuff. But now, man, I'm getting paid $400,000. What I need this 32-inch TV for? You know what I mean? Like, what I need this PS5 for? I'll probably have a sponsor that's giving it to me.
Times have changed. There's more on the line than fame and PlayStation 5s. Talking about fame, who is going to win the Heisman Trophy? The Buffs are putting a lot of effort into advertising their 2 players. We have a video of that too, I believe. We can play that right now.
At a break, or are we still selling?
To vote for Shedeur Sanders, like you see here, or Travis Hunter, like you see here. It looks amazing. That's really cool. That whole packaging, the advertising, the graphic design looks really cool. But what the fuck? Why? Is this a popularity event now? I know how important the Heisman is for people. My wife told me yesterday, this is the biggest award you can win. But it's a personal award at the start of your actual career, which is in the NFL. College is fun and games, but you play college to make it into the NFL. And I don't think any player is playing football for personal accolades. Is this a new thing now, where even the Heisman Trophy is a popularity event, where you need to convince people to vote for you by sending them cool-looking packages? I told you, I'm a little bit negative today, but I think these are valid questions. Why do we care so much about the Heisman Trophy if it's not doing anything for you? And if you're good enough as a Travis Hunter, because I think he should win, if you're good enough as a Travis Hunter, do you need this? Do you need this to convince people that you're a good player? Or is that not what you're doing on the field? I don't understand how you need to do stuff like this. I mean, it looks great. I would love to get a package like that. It looks great, but it's for no cause, or at least the wrong cause, in my opinion. Let's move on to a little bit more NFL football, the real football, in my opinion. Denver Broncos. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that win. Shelby Harris said some interesting things. He plays for the Cleveland Browns, so he had a lot to say about Bo Nix. But first, a little bit of personnel change. Imagine getting shot at and then getting fired for it. Oh, wait, this is the U.S. That could happen to anyone. Josh Reynolds, the wide receiver who was injured his pinky, I think. He was injured, didn't go to the New Orleans Saints game, got shot at a strip after he came out of a strip club that same night, and has been on injury reserve since then. The Broncos needed to make a decision, put him back on the team or put him on season-ending injury reserve. They chose a third thing, which is to waive him. I guess I can understand. There's a lot of young wide receivers who've done the job while he was gone and done it really well. Devon Vele, Troy Franklin, and of course Marvin Mims, especially in that last game with a 93-yard receiving touchdown. Our reporter Brandon Cristal made a video about this yesterday, and he can explain way better why this decision was made.
BK with the news of the day in Broncos country. Players and coaches, they're cut loose after a bye week. That's what Sean Payton does. He learned that from Andy Reid, who has plenty of success after bye weeks with the game following his team's break in Philly and KC. So Sean Payton, as we learned last year, he says, sayonara, we will see you on the following Monday. Typically it's after a Sunday game, this time after a Monday night win. But the Broncos still making a personnel move, waiving veteran wideout Josh Reynolds, who had been on IR with a hand issue following the New Orleans game. While he was on the shelf, he and friends were out at Shotgun Willie's. They were targeted and shot at. Reynolds actually struck twice, but thankfully was okay and returned to the practice field and was able to work towards an actual practice return. He had a 3-week practice window open. The Broncos had to decide to either make a different roster move and activate him or just flat out waive him. If another team doesn't claim him, he could sign back with the Broncos practice squad, but I've been told that that is not going to happen. The Broncos are not bringing him back. They're leaning in to their young wideouts alongside Cortland Sutton and getting more playing time for Devon Vele and Troy Franklin and obviously Marvin Mims. So Josh Reynolds, not even here a full season, wasn't able to contribute as much as he had hoped coming over from Detroit, but he's no longer a Denver Bronco. For all your breaking Broncos news, keep all of your social channels and all your devices locked in on everything we do here at Guerilla Sports.
I was still here. I didn't know that it was cut off like that. Great stuff by BK, Brandon Cristal. I like Josh Reynolds, but this is pro sports, and even it doesn't matter why you were injured, even if you were shot, which is insane, by the way. I feel like we all just glossed over that. Nate Jackson talked about it in length the week after on our off-field podcast, because he had something similar happen while he was playing for the Broncos. A teammate got shot and got killed. I can't believe how normal or how easily we just stepped over that fact and went on with the rest of our lives. But in pro sports, doesn't matter why you were injured. If you're injured and you can't play and you can't contribute, the team has got to make a decision, and this is the decision that they made. Josh Reynolds out of the Broncos. I like the guy, but it is what it is. A little bit about the game on Monday. There's a lot of talk, a lot of things said about it already. Great game by Bo Nix. Well, we all think that it was a great game by Bo Nix. Shelby Harris, who is a former Bronco, he's on the Harrises, a show hosted by Guerilla Sports, plays for the Cleveland Browns now, came into Denver to take on his old team. He had a lot of good things to say about Bo Nix before Monday. He had a few other thoughts yesterday when they recorded this new episode.
I mean, I would say other than that big throw, Bo Nix isn't the most efficient quarterback out there. I think that he needs, to make the little throws, and it's a lot of flair. Obviously that big throw is going to get a lot of airtime. We're going to talk. It was obviously a big throw, but also that's a throw that should have been an interception at the end of the day. So, we can, oh my God, great arm, all that, but I think, he's still a rookie. Obviously the ceiling is there. He can be a very good quarterback, but he did just enough, and he lived off that defense, and that defense really went and made plays for them to win the game. But obviously he did exactly what he needed to do. But it wasn't the most efficient game, and 2 interceptions, and it's just it's a tough game. Obviously, it's a tough game to digest for me. Just going back to Denver and losing that type of way, but I just think that maybe, when I played Jaden Daniels. I played Bo Nix. Jaden Daniels, chopped our defense up. He really messed our defense up. I think, Bo Nix he still has a ways to go. He has the talent to be a great quarterback in this league, but in order for the Broncos to be successful in the playoffs, he's going to have to be better.
Ouch. A little bit of context. This was recorded yesterday morning. They played Monday night, then flew back to Cleveland, and he was ready to record this podcast probably an hour after waking up. I get how the emotions were still very high. I like that Shelby Harris has his heart on his sleeve. He says what he thinks. He has never done anything else. I get his frustration, his emotion. Do I agree? No. I think this was a great game by Bo Nix, who keeps showing every week that he is if not a great quarterback, he is going to be a great quarterback. And he won the Broncos that game. You can say whatever you want, but he won the Broncos that game, and he threw a 93-yard touchdown. There's nothing you can say about that, even though Shelby Harris did. So I urge you, I implore you to check out that episode right after we end this show. It's on our YouTube. It's called We're the Harrises. You can also find it on all audio podcasts. Great listen. Other than that, they're talking about a lot of good stuff too, like I just showed with this college football. Let's move on to the Colorado Rapids. There's some news there, even though they're not playing. Head coach Chris Armas has been inducted into the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame, which is great. He's an amazing head coach. He's done crazy good things with the Colorado Rapids since he came in. Last season was the Rapids' worst season. This season, they made it into the playoffs. He really turned it around. Not as big of a story as Deion Sanders for very obvious reasons, but definitely something to check out. But then I went into his career a little bit. He is inducted into the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame for outstanding stuff, for bringing soccer in this country to a higher level. He started playing in the MLS in 1996 for the LA Galaxy, played there for 2 seasons, then went to the Chicago Fire, played there until 2007. If you know anything about the MLS in that period, it's that it was very, very amateuristic. This wasn't a high-level league. When David Beckham came to the LA Galaxy in 2007, people were literally wondering not just why, but how. Because the fields were so bad in MLS, the fields that they were playing on were so bad that they were all just worried about him in general, about injuries and all that. Because how can you play in a league that is so bad? That is as if Nikola Jokic started playing in the Dutch basketball league. You've never heard of the Dutch basketball league, and that's for good reason. So that is his playing career, Chris Armas. Then he went on to coach. He coached the Adelphi Panthers, which is a Division II soccer team, women's soccer team in Long Island, New York. Then he was an assistant at the New York Red Bulls. For 2 years, he was the head coach there, went to Toronto, then was the assistant at Manchester United, which is a big feat, but he got ousted a season later because that whole season was horrible. Then he went to Leeds United to also become an assistant coach. Then he became an interim coach when the head coach was fired because it was a bad season. And now he's at the Colorado Rapids. That is it. The end. Does that sound like a U.S. Soccer Hall of Famer? I guess so, because U.S. Soccer just doesn't have a lot of history yet. It doesn't have a lot of grounds yet. It's undeniable that he's been a major factor to U.S. soccer in general, but the level of U.S. soccer is just still very low. There's just not too much yet in U.S. soccer. And that's why someone like Chris Armas can become inducted into the Hall of Fame. Nothing against him. I think he is doing amazing stuff at the Rapids. He is very important for U.S. soccer. But I think in 10 or 20 years, when we have taken the next step in soccer in this country, this is kind of going to be laughable. I hope. Let's hope that Chris Armas induction into the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame will be laughable in 10 to 20 years. Because that only means that soccer has grown exponentially in this country. Talking about exponential growth in U.S. soccer and head coaches. See, I'm intertwining everything here. My last thing of today, Inter Miami have a new head coach. Inter Miami, you all know from Lionel Messi, who plays there. This is the guy, Javier Mascherano. Mascherano. In Dutch, we say Javier Mascherano. So that's just what I'll do. Mascherano used to play for Liverpool, Barcelona, and the Argentina national team, together with Messi at Barcelona and at the Argentinian soccer team. Major player. He won Champions Leagues. He's won so many Spanish champions. He became champion of Spain so many times, which is very difficult. He won the Club World Cup twice. He's done amazing things in this same generation as Lionel Messi, who now plays at Inter Miami with Luis Suarez, Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba, all former Barcelona teammates. Messi has said recently that he would like to return to Barcelona, not to play, but just to live, because that's where he feels at home still. He moved from Argentina to Barcelona at a very young age for soccer. That is where he grew up. That is where he became a superstar. And then, because of different reasons, he had to move away from Barcelona, played in Paris, played in Paris for a little bit, and now plays in Miami. And he's making Miami into his Barcelona with all his teammates and now with the head coach. Great stuff, right? Messi, best player in the world. Of course, he's going to have a say in who the next head coach will be. The general manager even literally admitted that, yes, Lionel Messi had a lot to say in naming this guy the new head coach. So far, understandable story. What is this guy's history in coaching? Argentina under 20, which is a youth team, and then Argentina under 23, which is a youth team. That is all his coaching experience. And now he's going to coach the best player in the world. I don't think that's going to be much of a coach. I think that's just going to be a puppet who's going to listen to what Lionel Messi has to say. And in appointing a head coach, that is okay. Messi is a different person from any other player in the world. But then how will you coach Lionel Messi if you've never coached a regular team ever? We'll see how that goes. I wanted to mention that because it also shows how U.S. soccer is growing, but maybe not always in the right direction. We'll see. I do have to say, Lionel Messi coming to Miami, coming to the MLS, bringing all his former teammates who were big stars, brought so much light to the MLS, to U.S. soccer. Now with the new head coach, who's also a very well-known name in the world of soccer, I guess we can see the positive in that, in bringing a lot of attention to the MLS and U.S. soccer. See, I can be positive at times. I feel like it's a journalist's job to be a little bit critical sometimes, but it's also good to mention good things. That was the Daily for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. We have off field today at 11, so in just over 30 minutes, just under 30 minutes. And make sure to check out Where the Harris Is. It's a really good episode this week with Chris Harris Jr., Shelby Harris, and Ryan Harris on our YouTube. Check it out right now, and I'll see you next week.